What's up, guys, and welcome to my review of the game put out by NIS Natural Doctrine. It's also put out by Katakawa Games, I suppose, and NIS, they actually put out the Disgaea 5 video game, another strategy RPG game. However, they put a really good spin on this one, and I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of the game and what I think about it so far, a little bit of tips, and show you some of the gameplay as well. So basically, this game is not like your standard strategy RPG game. Instead of each individual character having their own individual place to be, there are zones that have a character limit based on the size of the characters in the zone. Most characters, the humanoid characters, have a size of 1. There are some characters that have a size of 2, and I'm not sure about size 3 characters. I haven't ran across any that I have been aware of, but I do know that bigger bosses have a size of 4, meaning they are the only people who can be in that zone. And starting off here, you can see that I get Zeke as my initial character to be able to deal with, and you can see at the top of the screen the initiative sequence. So we have Zeke, he can take his turn, and then Goblin Sentry E, Jeff, and then Goblin Warrior D, etc. So the way the initiative works is you can just play your turn by turn if you want, or you can link characters and allow them to take their turn during your turn. And this is one of the biggest strategies you need to get down is how to and when to uh, initiative link with another character. So you can see that right now, Zeke, he's just a DPS character. He is actually probably the worst character on your team. I don't know why they decided to make him the way they did, but everybody has their benefits aside from him. He is a fighter type character who normally uses a two-handed sword. However, I have him equipped with a one-handed sword. You can see that his attacks are just very basic attacks, preemptive blow and all-out attack, and then attack, basic attack, and he attacks 3 times. So when you target a character, you notice something on the left side of the screen. On the left side of the screen, you'll notice that other icons appear. This is a form of initiative linking. Basic attacks during someone's initiative. It cannot be linking. You can't link, then link, then link. It doesn't work like that. The only person who can link other people during to the current turn is the person whose turn it is. So if I were to attack and just select attack, so I'm going to select attack, and you can see that now Jeff can attack way back here in the back. Everybody has their turn. So if I just pick guard with him, now she has her turn. If I pick her buff, and you can see at the top, it just slowly becomes, they move up in the line. So to reserve a turn is to save your turn in the initiative sequence. So you can see that Tatiana comes after the Goblin Sentry E, or she can take her turn now. So you can pick an action, you can move her, and then pick an action. Or you can reserve her place in the initiative. So if you reserve her place, it does not move her, it just, she ignores the initiative link. So we're going to go back, and we're going to go back to Zeke, alright? So you can see that that links everybody when you attack, alright? So now, if you use a small potion, the small potion links with the person you use it on, and now they can use their turn. If you use a small potion on somebody in this square, everybody in that square gets to take their turn. So when you use a healing item, such as a small potion or an antidote, anyone in the square where your target is gets linked to your current turn. When you attack, everybody gets linked. A few things to note about the strategy of the game is that if you are a melee character and you attack these people, and let's just say you're strong enough and do an AoE skill, which they do have. You do an AoE skill and you kill everybody in this zone. You will actually, at the end of your turn, once all of those characters are dead and combat is finished, the combat turn is finished, you will move into this zone automatically. This is something to pay attention to because if you were to move into this area, these guys would be free to attack you on their next turn. So you just need to pay attention to that. Now, right now they're gunners, so they can attack 2 spaces away, which I currently am 2 spaces away. So they could attack me anyway. But if they were somebody else, like a boss or something, you really don't want to put yourself in a position with a DPS character to have to take hits from bigger characters. So pay attention to that. You can really pay attention to just the character movements and like I said, pay attention to the left side of your screen for your initiative linking. Shows the characters' icons and they can choose to reserve. Most of the time, there are some, for some reason, there are some initiative links you cannot reserve off of, which I don't know if that's a bug or working as intended. I'm not sure. So what we're going to do is we're going to end Zeke's turn because he's pretty useless. Actually, let's play it smart. What we're going to do, and this is something that I like to do, a strategy I like to use when you have one small potion. That's all it takes. You can use it on a character. So I'm going to use it on Mel. And that lets Mel take her turn. And what I'm going to do, since she gets to control Aizen, the tank here, I'm going to move Aizen to block the enemies from being able to come down. Because see, they could move 2 turns as well. You can only move 2 turns. 2 spaces, sorry. So they could move 1 space, 2 space, putting them in melee range to be able to attack anyone in this space. And we don't want that. So we're going to sit him here and we're just going to end his turn like that. So you got to go through the motions of the small potion being used. And he busts his defense. So now we get to enemy turn, and you can speed this up by holding down this circle button. And then once everything seems like it's done, you will see at the bottom left, you press X to confirm. I don't know why you have to confirm the enemy turn, but whatever. You can also tap X to skip all their buffs and stuff like that. You can hold down X to have, tap circle to skip all their buffs, and hold down circle to speed things up. So if you just notice that Mel decided to shoot at one of the enemies, that's a thing that anybody with a gun equipped, a basic gun equipped, will do if they are in the line of sight of a character and in the range of an enemy character. When one of your characters initiates melee combat, they will do that. It's called cover fire. So I'm just going to sit right here, and with him I'm going to guard. And again, you can see that the link requirements for improved guard, for counterattack, and for guard are adjacent areas. So even though Aizen is a character, he doesn't get his own turn. Mel controls him, so Mel gets that turn. So it's the adjacent area, but if I move into this area, it's the area he's in and all adjacent areas, even though it says adjacent area only. It's actually everybody. So you can see that no matter what he does, if he's in this area or in this area, it's the people in the square with him and the people touching the squares with him. They get to do the linked initiative. And if I do away with that, it's just this area, not this area. Again, initiative linking is one of the biggest things to do in this game. Alright, so Moving right along, we're going to just buff him. We're going to guard, and that increases his defense for the next turn. Now, we're going to move up with Zeke, and we're going to attack these guys. Now, this is a very starter dungeon. I think it's one of the very first ones that unlocks. So these guys are going to be pretty easy. I'm just trying to show you the basics. So, and we're going to move forward. We're going to operate the golem, and we're going to make him attack these guys to the left. So once everything is done, then combat phase goes into play, and people start using skills. And as you can see, even the enemies get cover fire. So that's one thing you need to pay attention to, because enemy gunners will really, really mess you up. This game is very, very unforgiving for small mistakes like character positioning. You get to position a character in a zone. Instead of being in squares, you get to position them in zones. So let's just say that this guy was a gunner, much like Anka is. You can see that he has a clear shot at Anka. Now, if he was powerful enough to kill her, that's not what you want. You can put Jeff in the line of sight between her and him, and even if he tries to shoot her, he will instead shoot Jeff. Friendly fire works like that as well, though during cover fire, they will not pull the trigger. So if they're during cover fire, when they're doing their helpful attacks for the melee character, whoever is initiating the melee combat, and somebody's in front of them, they will not pull the trigger. However, if I were to click on this guy, you can see it goes through Jeff. That's not going to work. So actually now it goes through Jeff. I guess I was close enough to him to glitch it out. So you can see they actually show you where the shot would go. The purple line there is showing that it's going to hit Jeff. But if I move up, you can see that the white line continues on, and once I confirm the attack, the purple line goes completely to the enemy. Okay. Another thing to know about is the linking. And this happens in several different ways, and there are several different types of links. So the most standard one is when several characters attack the same creature. You will see the line form between the characters. Right here to the left, you can see in its scrolling text, Spitfire, damage plus 15%, critical rate plus 15%. Alright, so now if I get in between these guys, I break their link. And there's a way that I can get, maybe not, make a triple, let's see, maybe not with this formation, so we'll bring him here.
Keep it going.
No, there's not wanting to do it. Okay, but anyway, you can link several characters together. The further the link, you can notice that it goes down 12, 10, 9, 10%, 15%. The further away you are from the character you're linking with, the higher the percentage increase. So that's something you want to think about as well. And again, you'll see right here once I kill this guy. Now you can see that there's a triangle. And there's a twin shot, which increases damage by 42% and critical rate by 42%. So that makes a big difference. And if I move further away, you can see that it actually goes up to 60%. So you can really do some devastating attacks with things like that. With ranged characters, it's really good to do line of sight to see who else is going to be able to attack you. Another form of linking is where you actually, your attack line crosses somebody else's. So you can see that now Tatiana and Zeke have a link that's called cross attack. It increases the damage and the spirit. And I believe spirit has something to do with defense. So that's going to make everything a little better, right? Long shot lets you attack from 3 spaces away, where most of the time you can only attack from 2 as a ranged character. So we're going to end this turn, and we're going to operate the golem. This creature is being attacked, so we're going to come over here and we're going to attack this guy. And now you can see that we have linked a bunch of people's turns to where we all just kill everybody. Again, I'm so powerful at this point in the game, these low level enemies don't stand a chance. So if a gunner kills somebody, and they can attack twice or 3 times depending on the skill and their agility, if they only attack once, they will turn and look for another target. So that's something that's beneficial for them. However, melee characters will not do that. They will only attack people in that square. So if there was 3 people in this square and I chose for him to attack one of them, and he killed them, he would continue his attacks onto the next one. Okay, so on the cooldowns, you can see that preemptive blow has a -2 below it. That means he cannot use it for 2 more turns. And interacting with things is as simple as using it during your own initiative. You cannot use items during a linked turn, which again comes into problems when you talk about the forced link turns where you cannot reserve, and you have Anka trying to unlock a door or a chest and she can't because she's in a forced link turn. So then you have to wait even longer. It's quite annoying.
I'd better open it.
So you just confirm your action and you get a ring.
Let's go.
Which is one of my biggest, I don't know, one of the biggest things I don't like about this game is the fact that every chest, it seems like, only has rings in it. There's no armor to the game. It's just rings and weapons. That's it. That's all you get. Rings and weapons. So you can see, even though he had a turn just a moment ago and he was here, because Anka has linked with him, he gets to move again. Now, again, he can't open doors or anything like that, and he cannot link with other characters for initiative, which in this case everybody is linked together, but you cannot double link. So, and because he's on a linked turn, you can see that action cannot be used during linked turns, which again is a big downfall in my eyes. So now you see we've met the target objective of this map. All enemies are dead. All visible enemies are dead. Once you open a door or set off a trap, etc., and cause more enemies to come in, then you can attack them. But once all enemies are dead, you have to have all of your characters in these green squares. So noting that only each square has a size limit of 4, you have to put some of them further down, etc. All right, and then to me, I find it a big chore because now let's just say I'm done and I want to leave. I have to take everybody's turn and walk to this area and then end their turn, and then walk somebody else and end their turn. Let's just say somebody's 8 blocks away from the end zone. He has to have 4 turns, or you have to plan it out and link the turns so that they can move a little quicker, a little more often. So like if we've got this person here, you don't need them to be taking turns. You can link with the people out here and link all these, try and link them up so that they get more turns before these people who are ready to go take their turns and just waste your time. This really does take some time on certain levels. It's quite a nuisance. It's just so repetitive, so it gets old super quick. It really does.
Okay, time to sync up.
That's one of the biggest things. I feel like they should have implemented some sort of time to leave movement. Now, I understand if in some of the scenarios
Keep it
created
going.
you need to flee, that creates a flee from enemies. That creates a strategy of can you get away before they kill you. I understand that, but when there are no enemies on the
Another
initiative
tool.
sequence at all, there are no known enemies on the map until you go further in, then I just don't understand why they have to move two spaces at a time. I really don't. So we're going to open this large door,
Let's
and
open
you're going to see more enemies are in here. Now, a lot of times,
Let's go.
earlier on, you're going to set off a trap, or you're going to open a door, and there's going to be enemies that you don't want to deal with, that you can't deal with, you're incapable of dealing with. So you want to just stay away from them. And you're going to die a lot from that to start with. So don't be discouraged with that. Just plan accordingly. Most of the time, they'll give you a chance to start off over from checkpoints, or you start over from the beginning. It's not like you just equipped your characters with some stuff and you forgot to save before you entered the level, even though it reminds you you haven't saved before you enter the level. Um, Before you enter combat, if you haven't saved since your last combat, it will ask you that. So that's good that they really look out for people who are like, oh, did I save? Did I not save? It'll be okay. They remind you, you need to save. Again, this game is very unforgiving,
Got it. I'll handle
especially
this.
in the beginning of the game. This is so, so unforgiving. You will die and die and die and die. There's
Let's
just
keep
no
going.
doubt about it. You're going to die a lot in this game. Again, just don't be discouraged
Dinner is
because
served.
it's going to happen. It's going to happen a lot.
Let's all connect together.
So we're going to use him. No, we're going to reserve him. We'll get him to open
I'm
that
gonna
switch here in a
volunteer.
second. Reserve
Let's attack
her,
together.
and then these guys are going to attack.
As a
Let's
leader,
go.
I can't retreat. Time to dig in. Time to dig in.
Leveling in this game is kind of
do this.
one-sided. As you've seen, that character just killed two enemies. So when an enemy dies, everyone is rewarded X amount of experience based on the level of the enemy. However, depending
I
on the
guess it's
damage you
my turn.
take off of that enemy, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60% of his health, you're awarded that amount of the experience just for damaging him. So if you one-shot an enemy, you actually get double the
I'll handle
experience
this.
anybody else on your team would,
Keep it going.
Let's keep going.
which to me is a little weird. So I feel like they probably could have done a little something better with that.
Dinner is served.
Do you mind if I go all out? You're mine.
Because it tends to make your
I've been saving
your
this.
tank Aizen, it tends to make him level a lot faster. Well, Mel, it tends to make her
Let's
level
go.
faster than any of your other characters because if he one-shots everything in his path, she's going to get all the experience. So I'm going to move him back here just in preparation.
Keep it going. What's this thing? Okay.
So moving seems like a chore when there are no enemies around. Strategically placing your characters and knowing where
Let's
other
go.
enemies are going to be is the biggest part of surviving the game.
Bet there's
You
something
need
in
to
there.
keep your
Wonder what's inside.
lowest level characters or lowest health characters well away from combat. Make sure that gunners cannot
Are we
attack
ready?
them, and again, use line of sight to your advantage.
I'll handle this.
They can't hit you if somebody else is in front of you.
Keep it going.
Now, Jeff is kind of a jack of all trades, and he's pretty good at it. He's good with guns, and he's good at being a tank.
Dinner is served.
Until you get Aizen, you want to build him as a tank. You really, really do. You need to build him as a tank.
Keep it going.
Dinner is served.
she can only control him, but so far away, so that's what the problem was there.
Please,
I
I'm
needed to
begging.
move her up before I moved him.
Okay, I see you.
So to start with, the biggest thing is try not to use your Pluton. They make a big deal in the tips and even the character dialogue about your Pluton. But as you can see, I have 18.2 grams, and really, I rarely use it. But you know, save 10 or something like that. That way, your character can level. I mean, he has to deal damage to level faster, and right now he's one of the weakest characters I have, even though he does some of the strongest damage. So now that my tank is super far away, we're gonna have to wait until we can get him back up this way to continue on. We can take Jeff up, I guess.
Are we ready?
So there's a lot of skipping turns, which is really, really unrewarding.
I guess it's my turn.
So he's the weaker guy at 76 health. So we're gonna just skip his turn and move him to the back, so that we can open this door up here.
Please.
And unfortunately, he can only move 2 turns at a time, so we're gonna have to wait a couple more turns.
Keep it going.
And this is the part of the game that gets repetitive.
Are we ready?
Just constantly skipping turns to get to that specific character so that you can set your lineup, which, you know, it's part of the preparation, but I just kind of feel like if there's no enemies on the map, he won't be able to move there. Crap.
Good luck.
If there's no enemies on the map, then you should be able to, you know, move a little bit more freely.
Let's go.
Are we ready?
Because as you can see, just setting this up
Here we go.
is a chore.
I guess it's my turn.
Now it's my turn. Please, I'm begging.
Alright, now we can move him forward and we can actually continue.
Keep it going.
Make things
What's
a little
this thing?
quicker.
Okay.
He can open this door. Alright, so now that we're moving along,
Let's go.
we're gonna try
Oh,
to speed it up even further. We're gonna get him out of the way here.
Let's keep going.
She can come forward and attack,
I'll take him out.
even
Dinner
though
is
she's rather
served.
weak.
Enemy detected. I'm gonna help too. I wanna help too.
You just have to watch for your line of sight there so that they can actually shoot.
Let's attack together.
You're going down.
Pay attention to the purple lines.
Time to dig in. Good. Farewell.
Alright, so now he's there.
I guess it's my turn. Keep it going.
We can probably move. He can't do nothing right now. The bad thing is that most of your characters are really going to rely on range. Really. They really can't do much else. I don't know if he can open doors or not. We're going to find out.
Dinner is served.
Let's all connect together.
I'm gonna help too. He won't lose.
No, because it's a link turn. Okay, so we'll reserve it
Let's
then.
attack together.
Let's go on the offensive.
So this is a very easy map. I'm about to fight this boss in this
Here we
cage.
go!
I have not tried to do this, but
Check out this door.
maybe once or
I guess
twice.
it's my
And the
turn.
reason is because he's fucking hard, so he's got a lot of health.
Now things should be a bit easier.
But now that I have Eisen,
Now it's my turn.
should be okay to do it. Oh, see, and now,
I'm gonna do my best.
oh, it's just not gonna let him open it, I don't think. Okay. So we're gonna end the turn, and we'll get Jeff to go up there with him, since he's kind of tanky anyway.
Let's go.
Can we get it open?
Okay, open up.
So here's a boss, and bosses, they really cheat for them to make them even harder. They get what's called a quick turn,
We can't get too close.
and they will skip a turn. So hopefully he doesn't kill Jeff here.
There's nothing to be done. Man, I wanted to help.
Shah!
Why?
Which he may. Nope,
Are we
I
ready?
think we should be good. And if I come over here, I can maybe get Jeff out of there. Yeah, I can get him out of there.
Keep it going. I'll back you up. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, time to sync up.
Oh, thanks. Okay.
I should be fine now. See, he uses quick turn again.
There's nothing to be done.
And if they were positioned, there we go, then they could shoot at the boss, which I will position them all to make sure that every combat phase they get to attack.
Here we go.
And how you do that is go into first person and just make sure that there is a link. Just make sure they're not in the blue zone like that right there, because then the boss can hit them, and we don't want that. They're gonna make it really hard to do this.
Keep it going.
But just make sure that
Let's keep going.
their purple lines are straightforward, and
Let's all connect together.
you should be fine. Yeah, see, he can't even move forward, so we'll just keep him back here.
I'm gonna help too. Okay, let's go.
And the golem is at decent health, I think. Yeah, this guy's at 990, so we should be able to take him out
Did I
pretty
beat
easy.
all the enemies?
Now with all these guys.
Let's go on the offensive.
But in most dungeons, you're gonna come across a boss like this that when you open the door, you just die. Unlike other games,
Go.
if any character on your team dies, it's game over.
And this?
I'll cover you. I'm always right here. Spinning stab.
So yeah, I feel like we should be able to defeat the boss here.
Finish him off. Hey, I leveled up.
We need to
The
hurry
biggest
up
thing
and move
again
away
is
from
to
the
not get
enemy.
cocky. When you get cocky and move somebody in for the kill, then that's more than likely when they counter attack or something like that, and you die.
Right here.
That's the biggest thing, is to make sure you don't get cocky.
I guess it's my turn.
So we're just gonna speed them up
Keep it going.
ahead of the troll.
Got it.
And he
You
should
mind
be
if I
dead.
go
Get
all out?
away! As their leader,
Better
I
not
can't
slow us
retreat.
down.
I'm
If you notice, I used
You're
Nebula
mine!
just to
Fly
initiate
true!
their turn ahead of his.
Okay.
Final strike!
And now he's dead. So that should be a bunch of experience for everybody. You can see he leveled.
Doing my best to hold back. Keep it going.
Let's go.
And I don't know if this chest is locked or not.
Is there something inside?
Nope. It will tell you in parenthesis beside treasure chest whether it's locked or not.
Wonder
Let's
what's
see what we
inside.
get for killing that boss. A critical ring, which is probably not going to be worth it. Okay, so now we're trying to leave here. And you're going to see
Here we go!
this is really, really grueling. Now see, I can move these characters along a little faster by doing that.
Let's keep going!
Even though it didn't hit him, I can still move them forward. And if I should probably save her for her small potions. She has the most of them. She's going to help us move.
Let's keep going! Can I eat all the enemies? Let's keep going! Can I eat all the enemies?
And the small potion hits a wall, which is fine.
I guess it's my turn.
I'm pretty sure he can link up with most people by using steel protection. Only links up with them. Okay, so that's fine. We'll just end it. She's close enough to where it's not going to matter.
Now it's my turn! I'm gonna do my best!
Getting the golem out is the biggest thing because you guys are so big that you can't do anything else with them. So we're just gonna move him well out of the way since he's already there.
Let's go.
And Jeff, he can come over here. He can't get in that spot, but
Time for some
if he
close
uses
combat.
guard, he
Let's
can
keep
move these
going.
characters forward.
I'm gonna help too! Good luck!
Unfortunately, he can only move one space forward because he would be too big
Let's
to move
attack
into that
together.
last space.
Here we go!
So now she should be able to get into this zone, but not the next one. Nebula should be able to move into the further zone. Zeke
Keep it going.
just skips his turn,
Let's go.
and now Jeff can move forward.
Let's keep
And
going!
he can boost their turns, allowing them to get inside this zone.
I'm gonna help too!
And as you can see, leaving the
Let's attack
map
together.
is also a chore.
Here we go!
I guess it's my turn.
Just very repetitive, very dull.
Keep it going.
Let's go.
Let's keep going! I'm gonna help too! I'm gonna help too! Okay, let's go!
Let's attack together.
Here we go!
I guess it's my turn. Keep it going.
And like 10 turns later, we can finally leave.
Everyone's okay, right?
So we got 3.2 grams of Pluton, but we spent 1.2. And that was because the bigger chest probably gave us a good bit. So the map style is much like Final Fantasy Tactics. I'm not sure how far I am into the game. I'm a decent little bit. I feel like I've got most of the main characters. I think I'm missing just one by some just a little bit of looking up the game online. I'm pretty sure I'm missing one character. So I'm pretty far into the game. I feel like it's been pretty short. I don't think the game's going to be very long. I could be wrong, but it's very repetitive. Let's go into the gearing and the skill line. So again, you notice that I got those chests, and out of those chests, I got rings. This character is level 9. I've had him since nearly the beginning of the video game, and he has not got another weapon yet. Most of what you get are going to be rings. And as you can see, most rings only minorly increase stats. It's not a big, huge jump. So the brass increases the statistic of whatever it is by 1, silver by 2, gold by 3. You have different weapons. As you can see, different weapons attack more often for less damage, or less often for more damage. Some of the statistics on the right hand side, level, obviously, what level they are, experience needed to next level, total health, strength, which increases melee damage, vitality, which increases health, dexterity increases critical chance and accuracy, agility increases your place in the initiative sequence and the amount of attacks you get to do. Spirit, it says it greatly increases, it could increase the outcome of the battle, but I feel like that's probably um, has a little bit to do with defense, because I just feel like it's more for defensive characters in their skill tree. Intelligence increases magical damage, faith increases healing, which is both potions or magic. Then you have the skill tree. The skill tree can be modified at any time. Well, I can't take that off because I have one equipped, so it won't let me. But they can be modified at any time. Each one only costs 1 point, and at the top you can see that you have to be at least level 9 to equip the last ones, which is kind of an odd system. Jeff gets 2 points per level that he levels. Everybody else only gets 1. Everybody seems to specialize in 1 or 2 things. As you can see, most of this is health or damage, health or dexterity, which increases accuracy and critical rates. As you can see, vitality increases HP, agility increases attack order, which is the initiative order, as far as I can tell, and the number of attacks. Again, you get to attack for an extra time on certain breaks, depending on the weapon that you have and the agility that you have. The weapon will attack an additional time. So instead of attacking only twice with a sword, you'll attack 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Works on guns and all of that as well. So you can see there's not really a lot to the skill lines here. You get a couple skills. Mainly it's passives. The gearing is very limited. This guy, he can't equip 2 weapons, which would be cool if he could do 2 weapons in one hand. But he can't, so what are you gonna do with that? And again, the equipment just doesn't seem like it really does a lot other than weapons. I can't stress enough, I really don't know how far into the game you can go or anything like that. But to me, I just feel like some of the battles are set up to just be long, to make it feel like a longer game. I feel like this next mission here, I've played it once, and I was on the final guy, and I made a simple mistake of allowing Nebula to be too close to the enemy, and he died, and it was game over. But you have to hold off hordes of people. You can't attack them. If you attack them, it's game over if you kill them, which is kind of silly, considering that if they attack you and you have a gunner in range, the gunner could, do the cover fire for you and kill them. So that's, to me, is a flaw. The game is, um, it's pretty fun to start with, but then once you get on into some of the longer, more annoying battles, it really just it will make you put it down. It'll make you just stop. You get annoyed with it. It's not because it's difficult. It's just because you made one simple mistake and you died. And you know that to me is not difficulty. That's just it's silly. Characters shouldn't be able to be one shot by enemies. Um, to me at all. Not when you have other characters who can tank hordes of enemies. You should not have a character unless he's strong. And none of the characters who get one shot are strong other than Mel, obviously, because she has Eisen. Um, so Mel can be very easily killed, but she's super strong. She's got your tank. Tatiana is super strong. For some reason, she seems to do a lot more damage than any of the other gunners with the same exact guns. She tends to crit more often. She has better accuracy. Zekeland is just a waste of a turn. The only thing he's good for is small potion links to give somebody else his turn, and really that's it. And it takes all the way down to here to get him another small potion, which I think I might actually do, just because that's really all he's good for. And maybe now he can buff. Okay, so that's probably the best line to go down with him. Yeah, because melee characters are easily taken out, especially if you're close enough to an enemy to attack them melee. Then the gunners or the mages or anybody else is going to kill you, because it really is hordes of enemies at times, and you'll have 8 or 9 people attacking your character, and they take 10, 15, they might crit for 40 sometimes. And when you're talking about 8 or 9 people attacking a character with 200 health, and no shield, 21% chance to dodge, 15% chance to counterattack, he is not going to do anything to help himself stay alive. So really, the game, it was a good idea. I feel like if they did a second one and kind of took the flaws in this game and brushed them up, took maybe the combat even and brushed them up, limited links or something like that, because I feel like the link system, as far as tactical links where you get improved stats, is supposed to be there to help you, but it seems like it doesn't really help you that often. And it just makes enemy hordes super overpowered to where if you make the slightest mistake and there's no way to recover from it, you're dead, even at the very last moments of the battle. And to me, that's not really a difficult game. It's just bullshit. I feel like some of the levels are just long to be long. You have to have Eisen hold off hordes of enemies so that none of your guys counterattack or attack, or they don't mess with you. And you just, find a choke point for Eisen to sit while the rest of your team goes and does what needs to be done. To me, you should never have a game where you don't kill somebody unless you're trying to save them. You know what I mean? Don't let such and such die is you're trying to save them. You need to get to them and kill the other people before somebody gets pissed that you're killing all their soldiers and kills the person you're trying to save. Not, here's somebody trying to kill you. If you kill them, you lose. To me, that's just silly. It really is. If you want to play a story, play it in the story. Don't force me to rethink tactics and, the systems that you have set up where the cover fire and things like this. don't have those types of systems and have the AI I'm not supposed to kill get in so that those types of systems kill it. That to me is silly. Kill everybody but this person is going to be in front of a bunch of other ones taking damage from the AI. Yeah, to me it really, I don't know. There's just some disappointments to it. I've really been waiting to play this game for a long time, but I would have to say it's worth $6. It might be worth 20 if you're really into this and this video, watching it, you really just want to give it a shot because, like I said, it is really fun, but some of the levels get old. Dying doesn't get old, especially when you make small mistakes. That's not what gets old. It's when you're in a really, really long, grueling, like, you know, 50, 60, 70 turn battle, and you make one simple mistake, and your guy at full health gets hit once and dies by a character who has, who your other characters could one shot. To me, that's just a little, it's just kind of like, throw your hands up in the air and just say screw it and come back hours later. I actually haven't played any of that mission again all day. It's been quite some time since I failed like that. And, it's just off-putting. Well, I know this has kind of been a long review, but I'm trying to show the gameplay as well and explain where the flaws are and what you should be looking at. And I know, again, this has been a very long video, but if you like the game, that's cool. If anything that you see looks pretty decent, then, have at it. The game is fun, but again, there's just points where it just seems like they drag it out. It kind of reminds me of like World of Warcraft's Mist of Pandaria, where they didn't let you get flying until you were max level because they wanted the game to seem bigger because it really wasn't that big, the expansion. That's what the game feels like to me on certain levels. And I feel like if I'm strong enough to kill a guy that you're probably going to make me kill at the end of the game, then let me do it now and, let's skip all the bullshit. But that's my review on it. I would say if I had to rate it, I would give it maybe 7 out of 10 stars. So definitely worth $6 for now if you get it. But it was never worth 60. I can promise you that. Hopefully NIS gives another stab at it, or maybe they should just stick with this Gaia. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have watched it to the end, like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. If you like the video, like it, of course. If you don't like the video, give it a thumbs down, because really, who gives a shit? Take it easy, guys.